Okay. Hello. I'm gonna do that. That. Oh shit. I thought. God, this is loud for me. Hold up. I'm gonna play music and hang out because holy shit, not having my stimulant med books me. I've like done nothing today. And not even like in a good, relaxed way. I've wanted to do things and I just feel like I can't do anything. And then I feel like nothing's fun and nothing's like fulfilling. Um, and yeah, that's why it took me a bit to go live. And then I've been also sitting here for 30 minutes and I installed and then uninstalled 2 different games. And was like, you know what? If I'm kind of iffy on it, I don't want to start stream and then want to switch the game immediately too. So, thought this would be good. And then I'll try to play this for a bit. I have backyard baseball installed, but I feel like it's gonna make me want to like rage. So, I don't see it being like something I could play for very long with not having my stimulant med as well. So we'll see. But I could just chill. Yeah. I remember the last time I played, I got all the stuff out of the containers at this shipwreck. But otherwise, I don't really remember what I was doing. Ooh. I have a message. There you are. I found high ground, I think. When you arrive, I'll fire my multi-tool into the air to mark my location. What's wrong? Why aren't you saying anything? Tell them what happened. I tell Artemis the locals could not decipher their star chart. The alien even went so far as to claim those stars did not exist. That's impossible. I can't have traveled that far from charted space. You found my ship. Ask how Artemis got there. As I speak, the line begins to crackle with interference. Artemis looks up at the stars in panic. The stars. They've altered since I made that chart. Blinked out and... How is this possible? What's happening to me? I need to get out of here. It is quiet at first, but it is there, unmistakable, growing steadily louder with each passing moment. A sound beneath their words, a sound as if glass could scream. Comfort Artemis. I try to comfort Artemis, but my words feel strangely hollow. I can do nothing. Artemis speaks to me again. I discovered the glyphs for a portal. Traveler, a gateway between worlds. I thought it would lead me to another of our kind, but now I don't even know if the voice was real. The pathway collapsed while I was still inside. I found this place in the darkness. I thought perhaps it was a planet. I was so wrong. I can see their faces. There's seats of glass within their... Ask for the glyphs. They're gone. My data fragmented in the... I just wanted to discover worlds. I wanted to find other travelers. I didn't. 16. Warn your face. Please not yet. I'm not... The signal cuts off. As it crackles into oblivion, I hear a name through the static. Apollo. Mr. ID, a frequency for Apollo has been added to my hollow terminus contacts. Hold up. Doop, 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 doop. One sec, sorry. Oh. Sorry, I thought I would hop up. I brought food in here. At some point I'll eat it, but it has to cool and shit first. And I left it sitting on the counter right when I walked in my room. I just remembered. I don't know why I remembered right then, sorry. Artemis' suffering reminded me I was hungry. Damn. No back. Hmm. I don't know if I've got this before. This is loud, hold up. And it's down to like 68 for myself. Because holy cow, I can feel it. And that one. You're welcome to join if you want to. Back. Since you've played on this before, my fingers rest on the cool stone of the monolith. Suddenly I'm seized, and ancient vision floods through me. Naibu is vigor, reconstruction, resist. Blue light pours from the monolith as if a curtain has been dropped within. I hear a gentle hubbub of noises and catch a familiar smell on the breeze. I cannot remember my home, but I know that this doorway leads there. I ache for a past I cannot remember. Every inch of my soul wants to make the leap back. I look to the skies and the infinity beyond. Can I truly abandon my journey when it's only just begun? Resist temptation. I try to capture a memory of these sensations before turning away. The spirits that dwell here admire my decision. I am rewarded. Learned the Atlas word for what? I don't know. The ancients that inhabit this monolith accept my presence. They will tolerate a request. Locate a portal? Nah. Maybe I'll keep facing because I don't know what it's for yet. Also, what was that? Okay, it's stuff I've seen before. Oh, the ones with the big old tall heads. Like those like floss picks. I don't remember how to... So C is how I use Space Scanner. Maybe I don't remember how to do that. I'm gonna do shit all day and it's so annoying. Because I would like to have done something. But... oh well. Okay. Get in here. We have tofu and veggies. Didn't die, that's something? Oh yeah. Well yeah, technically. Although the act of death, wouldn't that be also doing something? So technically I also didn't do that. Technically, if I'm already alive, living is more passive. That would be doing nothing? Well yeah, I guess. I don't know. I feel like it was pretty eventful. Okay. Now go back. What's this? Whoa. Ancient ruin. Hopefully there's shit that are not, you know, already looted. Oh yeah, it's for sure not the place it just went to, actually. I remember now. It, like, literally can't be. Ooh. I'll go back to there. Ooh, I just remember that time I got stuck in the tree. Maybe a little higher. And I had to, like, get myself unstuck. That shit was ridiculous. Yeah. That must be a baby one. Usually they have that big old, like, point on their head. Forgot about waypoints being like that. My food looks good, but it's still hot as fuck. What the hell? Do all the little critters run too? From whatever the toxicity is? Or my inventory. I think I did catch one. Let me see. Last time I played, I feel like I did. I guess I can't see it when I'm in the ship, which makes sense. Ooh. Companion register? Oh, I didn't. I've got some random ones. This one's cute. Reminds me of a goat. Oh wait, you have one of those ones too. I remember now. I think you got that first. That specific kind. Need more. Oh.
Technology recharge.
Pulse engine.
Technology recharge.
I'll save that. I wasn't even at the ruin. Okay. Run this way. I don't get why I keep randomly getting toxicity warning. Like, shit. There must be clouds of dust or whatever blown around. It must be toxic. Probably. Honestly, it only started after you got in chat, so... I'm not saying it's your fault, but... Kinda weird, huh? Weird timing. Someone's speaking. Oh, fuck. What the hell? Well... If I must. Who's good?
Units received.
A lot of stuff to scan, I guess. Wait. Did I see a knowledge stone? Like, oh, it's not underground. I need different stuff to scan. It's not that. It's like each planet you go to too, like scanning everything progresses your knowledge and shit, your stats. And also get that currency. I want to grab these because selling these is actually worth it. Lines. Where could there be more relics? I don't want to go to those.
Units received.
That rock looks like foreskin. Okay, well, clearly there's nothing else for me to scan. Oh wait, I lied. Now I think there's nothing left. Then click. Okay. I keep saying that as I'm still trying to scan shit, but you know, I'm on the way out as well. Right. I'm still going to this ancient room. Ruin. Maybe this is where I've been. I remember that I could get that, yes. But also I feel like there was like a chest or something too. Maybe I'll come back here with you whenever you're on. Back. Mayhaps. Mm-mm. 20 minutes? Okay. Because I can't remember what we even do with the ruins. It's been a minute. It was kind of fun. Let me see. Hello, Brad. What emote is that? Is that one of your Ninja Turtles? Cute. It is. What's up? This game in a while, but it's one of your faves. Ooh. I'm not very far in it. Or maybe I am. I can't tell. Let me see. I think it's my ship. Log, maybe. think this is the main story. Station, Logan Atlas interface. Honestly, I guess all of these are primary, so. But I feel like last time I played, I couldn't figure out what to do next. Um, but I just had like a transmission call with Artemis, and then there was some conversation about how they got where they were, or some shit, or got here. So I'm hoping I get to actually find out some more details soon. I don't know shit still. I had like built a tiny base, but not much. And then I know there was an update where you could get like, it was like Pokemon kind of style, game like battles or whatever. And you can start to actually like genetically alter eggs and shit. I need to do that. But I'm trying to finish like the meat line stuff first and kind of go from there. Game is a lot though, and it's very cool. Someone else had said that too, that like there are Star Wars mods and shit, so you're gonna install it right now? Nice. What's up, Jordan? I want to know more about Light No Fire too. I really hope it's good. But grade 12 math, sheesh. Doing it all in a day again? Or is that one taking more? I feel like I was just really ass at geometry. I think that was my worst. A bit longer. Dude. Now I guess they won't be able to like blame me cheating. Positive of it. What the heck? Dude, that was so, like, not funny in, like, a good hee-haw way, like, but that was funny in a really, oh my god, unfortunate way. What the heck? No one saw that. Didn't just hit that building multiple times. It hit me. No. I've grown since the tree. I can't have it. I can't, and I won't. Second assignment for the resubmission, and it came back 100% AI. I had to spend 2 hours editing it to pass the assignment. And you screen recorded yourself writing it. Although that would be, honestly, probably way more humbling. I wonder what AI checker they were even using. Like if the teacher themselves was putting that shit into like ChatGPT and asking it. Instead of like Grammarly or something like normal. You read on half. Damn. That's annoying still though. But yay math! This is my long tired mind playing tricks. I've been so long without deep sleep. The crimson sphere shimmers at the corner of my eye whenever I try to rest. And I cannot comprehend how it tracks my spoor from world to world. Or is it that I'm following it? The orb cannot be in all places at once. That cannot be. Analyze data log. I discover something coded deep inside the long dead traveler's data log. Something has been left that will aid me on my own journey. Heck, what the fuck? You think he would be complaining if he did use AI? I feel like that'd be less annoying and be more of like a, well, you know. A little like, aw shucks moment. I don't think, I mean, yeah, I wish that we could undo a lot of the damage that's been done to the environment by these AI data centers, as well as to, like, human populations. And, like, water reserves and shit. But Like, more so, I hope that there are a lot of more, like, memorandums put up on building new data centers and that they get blocked, and that this shit is just kind of paused at least versus a rollback right away. Because I don't know, man. This shit is fucked up. And the fact that you have to go through so many hoops now being like, ugh, is it AI? I can't even tell, like, all these apps and shit because they don't want to put in policy to prevent or, like, mark AI. It makes it shit trying to, like, navigate anything as a consumer even. It's stupid. Used AI bit to learn the math and make it explain the practice questions to me, but that's because I don't have a teacher to talk to. Well, shit. Does your, I guess I don't know what your library system is like, but have you checked to see if there are like tutors there that you can sign up with? Even if it's in a nearby college, they might have something, but I don't know if it would be locked to only students to utilize. Let me see. That's tough. Eh, my main base. Huh. No. I like this game though so far. The steering though I suck at clearly. But that's alright. Oh wait. Oh, I was supposed to summon the anomaly. I thought I had to like answer a phone. I know it's been so long since you were a student. Hmm. Might be worth checking out. You have to be like, mm, yeah. I don't know. That's tough to navigate because I don't want to like, if you're having struggle accessing support, I don't want to be like, bleh, but that just sucks all around. Like not having that provided. Like who the fuck is judging the course you're taking? And it sucks that they can't help. Although too, like, I guess yeah. Water. The freaking water, Sandy. And I mean, it's good that you were able to learn how to do the problems and you weren't just like solve the problem for me and then explain it. There's 120 students, so it can take a day or two to get back to people. I wonder if they have like prepared resources then, because that sucks too. That it's not descriptive enough. Just remember. Yeah. That sucks. Definitely a systemic issue. So that is a lot of students for one teacher then with that short of turnaround time on work. But I guess you said it's in like an accelerated program, right? Mm-hmm. Shit's out of power because I haven't played in so long. I guess? I think that's how it works. Um. Oh yeah, this is the refiner, not the fucking battery. Oh my god. Little one.
Life support power low.
Ministry of Education is 110 hours per core. What the heck? Oh, it's overloaded. Does that just mean it's depleted? So then, I know I had a generator somewhere. Maybe last time I just recently updated my base. So I built all this stuff. But where did I put my little generator at? Save beacon instruction. Just save for funsies. Oh, here we go. Biofuel reactor.
Technology recharge.
Nice, okay. And that'll kind of buff it enough where those can keep getting sunlight. I assume they went off because there was the, like, storm shit. Oh, you know what I should do? I should eat really quick. Which means I'll just turn off my camera, then I'll, like, multitask. I'll try not to chew and talk, but let me see. Ugh. Shit, I hate math. I'm so ass at math. Or at, like, the last I mean, I'm ass at simple math now. I don't know how I would be at, like, a structured algebra kind of thing now. It's been so long. And also, like, in school, I was always behind because I had to miss so often for medical appointments that, like, I missed all of the sessions of the teacher explaining. Like, I missed all the chunks that you're struggling with, like, breaking down work and working through problems. So I'd always be getting to that, like, months, bit a little bit late. And I don't know. It just made it really tough for me to actually understand any of it because I was always, like, just trying to rush. Well, no problems. So shit, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like, I don't know how the fuck I finished school. I think that I just kind of did all right in all the other courses. And I had, like, I mean, I'm like this now, so. I burnt out. But hey. Yeah. 12th grade. Almost freaking done, so. Sorry, I feel weird for eating really quick, but I need to. I ate some, like, vegan chorizo and a tortilla at, like, 8 a.m. to take my meds today, and then haven't eaten, so I'm hungry as shit. Ooh, calculus. I don't know if I did calculus. I really liked algebra. It was super satisfying. It was just, yeah, the chaos of it, of school in general. Ow. You have to finish the course and coming out, you can be allowed to take it. Oh. Are you able to see, like, the curriculum before you enroll in the specific classes? Oh, there's a green now, so I wonder if they're collecting energy. So sort of. For the space station. Honestly, let me just point myself outside and I'll literally shovel in food. I just have some steamed white rice and veggies and tofu. Shouldn't take me that long to eat. Alright, you don't have any art classes, any music, there's no tech classes, anything that requires a real hands-on anything. Oh, okay. Huh. But still math. Good old math. Hmm. I guess that makes sense, but still kind of sucks. Although imagine like trying to get inspired to create art in that kind of a format would be tough. I know like writing workshops I took because in college I used to take courses every summer too because I was trying to get done with school faster, but then I broke my femur again, so then like I couldn't even do that. And I still graduated on time, but I wasn't early. I think it was because that. And so I missed a course, like I had to drop out of one of the courses, and then the next time it was offered was like a semester after when I would have graduated early. So I was like, well, shit, now I gotta keep going. But taking that for the summer online was, I preferred in person. Oh no. Huh. Like a short story or something? I like the accessibility of online, but I don't know. Honestly, online was good. Just the writing workshop part itself, I didn't. Like, I liked it being in person a little more. Every other class I would have preferred online, fuck it. Mm, what the fuck? Huh. Monologues. I don't think I ever got accused of using AI, but also wasn't, like, now is very different. I didn't realize you literally had to redo the whole course. I thought you meant, like, just the assignment. What the fuck? Dude, I wouldn't even made a joke earlier when I joked about it then. That's fucked. What the hell? My bad. Holy shit. I would have been pissed. That's even worse than just an assignment. Hmm. Do I love creative nonfiction? I love creative nonfiction and poetry most. You have to read it a final product? Fuck. That. Oh my god. Was the final project those monologues? Oh, okay. Well, still what the fuck, but... Hmm. Like, in a practice run. Jesus Christ. That was a warm-up. Better marks in course. Yeah, what? I guess. I guess it's better than if they tried to like flunk you. That would have been like a fighting it, you know, I guess. But still, what the hell? Poetry assignment is to use the monologue to make blackout poetry. Well, that's not bad. Blackout poetry is pretty chill. But if you had to redo the whole fucking monologue, like, that's the blackout poetry is yeah, true. What the hell?
Technology recharge.
I'm gonna mute my mic because I feel like my chewing is picking up. I'm gonna chew really fast. Hold. Okay. I'm finishing chewing this bite, and then I'll be back at it. Oh, she was going a little extra with that. Huh. Like in a way where you would assume you were like an English major, but it's high school. So what the fuck? Like there's gotta be a finer line to walk with wanting your kids to, or like, not kids, but students to be engaged and not also making like that. Oh, it's an elective, you fucking dummy. Damn, you got God. That is unfortunate. Respectfully. Oh, okay. Let me make sure my lip gloss isn't down my face and then, like, I just stuffed my face into my bowl. Hold on. Oh, pepper in my teeth. That's always nice. Sorry, that was like the worst timing. Definitely a no ADHD ad stream. Insert a who. Get my chat back up. Like you could have dropped it and nothing changes. Brave. You persevered. I don't even know how to. I don't even know how to plant plants in this thing. Still. Damn, who used 2 by 8? You get 18. Oh, well, I guess for like the entirety of a high school career or whatever it's called for you. Primary school. Whoa. Why is my... 8 of the HD. How does the silence feel? Because you were talking to me. Bro, I don't even know who Tag was talking to. That fucked me up for a minute. Both the autistic motherfuckers were like, eh. But also, I don't think it was that good of a good one, so. Not to call tactical espionage, also known as tactical sponge out, for having a joke flop, but ha. We're having a off a short pier. Are there any of those even left, bro? Fuck, I need to put different music on too. Okay. I gotta let myself be back. Thank you. Sure. I need it for sure. What the fuck? I wish they would have refilled it like overnight, but nope. And it shows because I've not accomplished anything so far in playing No Man's Sky right now. Although I did have to. Yup. My cam went down? What the hell? Hold up. Pew, pew, pew. Sincerely, so I want to make sure that I didn't read like that. Oh, you're good. I put it in my announcement too, I think, or my title. I put it in my title, yeah. You're good. Let me see what's going on with my camera. Is my app still working too? Here, I'm just gonna fully shut down my camera app. And then Try to open it again and see if it snaps it back on. Oh yeah, it worked. Hmm. But how are you doing? We're chilling here, all having a moment of neurodiverse infusion. And Tiger, are you joining still? Oh shit. I wish I could play Whiskerwood, but no one wants to watch that shit. You just turn on your PC. Trying to stay cool, it's 93 where you are. Ooh. Let me see what it is where I'm at. I know it was in like, it might have been 95 earlier. Let me see. Oh yeah, like right now it's only 88. It feels like 93. Well, that's at 7 p.m. So, right there with ya. It's miserable. It makes me feel like, I don't know about you two, but it makes me feel way worse mentally. Like, I want to go outside and do shit. I want to walk my dogs. I can't walk my dogs in this shit, or like, I would actually kill them. Remember, I don't think I have to invite you either, Pack. If you can just join my thingy. Oh my god. Beck is on fire. So hot where you are today and hazed over. Oh, so like the smoke haze? Shit. You look up 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit with overcast and drizzle. Me too. I'm definitely like a hoa weather kind of bitch. Kind of motherfucker. I don't know if I can say that. Kind of person. Kind of girl. I don't know if I can say that. What the fuck? I don't know why I felt like I just put a little extra stink on it when I said it that time, so I felt like I had to course correct. But where's that? Is it? Or do you mean on fire like temperature? Are you talking literally fire? I assume you mean literally on fire, but oh yeah, open air fire ban lifted after that. In darkness and like this wildfire. Shit. Ooh, and then the air quality too to breathe. Shit. That's fucked. Well, yeah, I'm glad. Hopefully people are doing alright. That's scary. It's always sad. Now this has plenty of fuel, but I think I have a battery on the roof. That's where the sun or solar panels charge shit. Yeah. Okay, so it's actually charging, going up. So I wonder if this just needed a base charge to get going. Or maybe the solar panels did? I don't know. Another province? Okay. Slow burst. Oh my god. Oh. This year's been so bad for fires everywhere too, man. Ooh. Well, yeah. Damn. You're just sitting inside doing math. And that. Although I guess that's a good time to have homework for online shit. In fact, I'm gonna need you to hurry the fuck up. Because I don't want to leave my base until you get on, but also I've been running in circles. Math. Oh, because I'm like meth, but I meant math. Yeah. Maybe my mic's just not picking it up right. You have a security motherfucker. I'm tempted to play Whiskerwood. Or here, let me just give myself a second to actually look at the log and see what I had to do. Oh yeah, I had talked to Artemis again. So I will pull up the space anomaly. I'll go to that next. Shit. That's my issue. The first time I started this game, I took a break for too long and I forgot how to do everything. And that's why I, like, completely had to restart. I could have sworn I just filled. Oh, I guess I flew around for no reason multiple times since then. Really. Put stuff in my storage container. Worked out. I do.
Inventory full. Inventory full.
I just spam X.
Inventory full.
Okay. Aw, cute. It's disgusting, but it's cute. Then, go in here. I need metal plating.
Technology recharge.
But I want to make sure I've got another one ready. There. Oh my god, my like time blindness too, with not having my stimulant med, it feels like I've been streaming. Like normally the first hour flies by for me, not because of like the conversation or anything, like not trying to be shady, but because of the time blindness shit, it feels like I've been streaming for like 4 hours. And it's been not even an hour. It's wild. How do I get the unknown? Oh. Must have to give. Oh, there we go. Wait, okay. Uh-oh. That just chugged. Someone has the longest name. What? Oh, it's like literally their whole fucking name. Their whole ass legal name. Brave. That must be a man. Coffee squid. Cute. Night brings Artemis signal west to okay. Oh my god, I remember last time I played I got like stuck in the wall too. Or I like flipped through the ground. Something like that. I think it was in the space station though, not here. But I gotta remember not to try to climb to weird spots again. Oh. How do you go up that way? How the heck? This whole space anomaly thing right now is chugging for me. What have you learned, Traveler? What generates Artemis entity signal? Mention the portal. I tell Nada how we failed to understand Artemis's location. I explain their strange messages, Apollo and the portal cliffs. Nada pauses. Their lights blink as they process this information. Honestly, the whole format of this is probably fun as fuck for Rev. Now that I think about it. especially with like D&D and stuff and DMing. Artemis slips between worlds into the data fall. Our home lives in these spaces, but these holes are stable, small. Nita is worried, traveler. Cracks between the iterations should not widen. It will not help us. Artemis entity still does not remember Nita? They say they did not. This is a puzzle, a trap, or a tragedy. Apollo entity is unknown to Nita. More puzzling still. If traveler entity is curious, Nita has advice. The rampant crimson is the work of Atlas falsity. Other Korvax say deity. Deity. Nita knows better. Atlas false entity hunts Nita, but traveler may seek them out, draw them away. Okay. Coordinates for black holes. Oh. I feel like this kind of is starting to feel like it's the like DLC stuff. If it's all in the anomaly. And it's called the space anomaly. But if it has to do with Artemis, I feel like it has to be the main story. I don't know. These are all real people? No. That is, though. Wait. Yeah, except for the ones named Iteration. Those ones aren't. I just saw the message again and laughing, thinking about the fact that it could have sounded like me saying you were just sitting inside doing meth. Not that that's funny. But as I misspeak, it'd be funny. I feel like this is the person I can talk to. Traveler hopes to make progress. Traveler test themselves. I will help in exchange. Progress to progress. Or wealth, perhaps. Experience or materials. Both found. Today, gold nuggets. It wouldn't be funny if it was true, but it's funny because it's not. Exactly. Transmit milestone depth. You have seen much, but do you understand? Not for me to know. Please take this. He's got a sack head. Oh my god, I got this Kirby thing. I didn't bring it with me up here, but what is it? It's called like a gummy or something. Let me look it up. Gummies. Oh, of course it's gonna pull up literal gummies. Gummy blush. Here we go. It looks like this. Jump scare. Okay. It looks like this. And it's like a squishy within a knit thingy or like fabric. And it feels like a testicle. So if you want one, they exist. But this dude's looking like a testicle. Purchase upgrades. Like, I don't really want to buy anything because I don't know what I need. So I'm not going to. Anything hidden over here? Nope, can't even go there. It looks so good. I really want to play Requiem. I just keep thinking about that. Huh. Oh, that's a real person? Oh, all the little white, like, squares are. I wish I could have, like, a little pet on my shoulder. But then I think I'm just wishing for some kind of, like, arc at that point. Like active missions in the log. So I just have to keep continuing forward. Locate a hollow terminus by using C to scan your surroundings. Okay. I clearly need to do that next. Um, oh, I detected one. Whoa. Where though? Sure. Oh, there's a little base thingy too. Why won't it let me land? Now it won't. I don't get what the issue was like 2 seconds ago, but alright. Now where the fuck did it go? Is the terminus all the way at that building? Why
Thermal
did it
protection
fly?
falling.
Okay, well. Oops, forgot that was hazardous. Smack the shit out of me. Use this first. Oh, I've already been here. What the hell? Oh. Oh, it is up here. What the heck? Comms tower. Hollow terminus activated. Multiple signal sources available. The tower hosts a powerful transmitter designed to facilitate holographic communication across long distances. Into Apollo. Whoa. Looks like a ghost from Destiny. The transmission is silent. The stranger just stares at me. Read or stare back. Read. Identify yourself or I end this call. You're a friend of Artemis. No, you're not. Ask why. Why do you use that word at all? Friend. It's just a label, a pretense to make you feel better about being alone. Okay, Emo. Why are you contacting me anyway? Is Artemis behind this? I haven't changed my mind. I don't care about their weird dreams. I'll meet if I'm paid to meet. Oh. Even this conversation is a waste of valuable time. The Artemis is in trouble. I tell Apollo that Artemis is in trouble, that they attempted to use a portal and became stranded on some distant and uncharted world, disappearing from the network. Apollo's demeanor changes. They appear uncomfortable at the news. Send me your data logs. Let me see this for myself. Upload the log. Apollo studies the log, pausing and replaying the various segments of static and distortions. They turn to me with a glow of excitement. These noises, they sound just like the echoes of Sentinel events. You've seen them before, of course. Drones that appear from nowhere if you interfere with their precious planets, but this data, it's distorted, inverted. There's a lot to gain if we figure out how the Sentinels appear so quickly. And this, the portals, perhaps they're the key. Your just life is worth more than money. Yes, yes, probably. But we can figure this out. We can save Artemis too, don't fret. So what do you say? Do you want to work together on this? Be partners? Accept. If you're going to work with me, we need to expand your base of operations. I'll send you to a contact of mine. They'll supply you with what you need. Just remember to be polite. As the hologram recedes, Apollo's head turns to the side ever so slightly, as if sighing, saddened. Or perhaps it was nothing, a ghost in the machine. Okay. Being on my desk off, actually. As well. Should do this again. No incoming calls currently registered with the holo terminus. Logs from the previous calls are available. Okay. I could have sworn last time and said there were multiple calls. Or signals coming through, or whatever the heck. Oh shit, you're here. Tactical sponge. Well, you didn't land near me, so I'll meet you wherever you're at in a minute.
Temperature levels stabilizing.
Dude, my attention span today is cooked. I don't know how long I'll be live, honestly. I hate to say it, especially because I did my fucking eyeliner. And that always sucks. Like, I feel like I really just want to play Whiskerwood, but then that hasn't sounded fun all day. Like, ugh. I don't know how I did it before having my meds. Oh wait, you did live right here. Where the fuck are you? Oh. I wonder if I can see part of him still, or Apollo and then not Artemis. Nope. He's just talking to himself. Which is okay. But because it's tech.
Thermal protection falling. Technology recharge.
And then I'm for sure doing Workshop Wednesday tomorrow because I haven't done Workshop Wednesday in like at least I think it's been like a month, over a month for sure. But holy crap.
Protection falling.
Oops. Does this hurt you? Oh, you almost made me shoot an animal, dude. Stop moving. Does this hurt? Fuck. Come back. What the? That's fucked up. Using an animal's ass as a shield. What the heck? Okay. Does it hurt? Fuck. I give up. Okay, no. I must have friendly fire turned off. I should leave it off. Actually. Not worth turning it on just to kill you.
Warning. Threat detected.
Oh,
Temperature levels stabilizing.
pirates. Let's go kill them. Oh my god, go back inside. Run away. Where did I put my ship? What the hell? Oh yeah. I parked far away and had to run to it. Good luck, Pack. Be brave. You got this.
Thermal protection falling.
If I can get to my ship, I'll actually help, though. This time. I won't run. But I'll think about it. I'll think about how funny it'd be if I just ditched you with them. Oh wait, you already killed him? You're welcome. No worries. Hey, me yapping through it probably took the edge off, though. Are you just doing circles right now? Okay, I'm going to space. And more space. Locate them on the galaxy map when in space. So I press X, galaxy map. What the heck? I'm warping to that system. I'm surprised I'm actually kind of chilly in here. Usually I've been hot as fuck. Because it's been so warm outside. The launch Inush system. I'm sure I pronounced that very close to what they intended. I did press C. Rusted metal, copper, ancient bones, high sentinel activity. Where is their contact? Oh. Just a different space station. Oh, I started Pow World as well during the update. And it's actually really difficult. I've died multiple times. Of course. I just wish there was a way to play it more where you could like choose to be passive and not kill the other like monster dudes roaming around. Then I would enjoy it way more. Secret Keeper list. Ah, friend, you have arrived as scheduled. All the proper permits have been filed, and exciting new tools await you. Joy, I have plans to update both base and exosuit. Where is your base sited? What sort of hazard protection meets your needs? Toxic, right? Don't we get toxic storms wherever I built my base? My base? Okay. Clever friend. May your home always be a sanctuary wherever you explore in the universe.
Inventory full.
Uh-oh. I give this dude something. Oop. What the heck? Oh, I put my hand back on my keyboard in the wrong spot. Our smell, friend, something. As I approach the gek, I become aware of a thin mist surrounding them. It is lightly, almost pleasantly scented. Nonetheless, I cannot help but feel a deep apprehension, not appreciation. What the fuck? Can't give it that. Okay, so that's good. So then, Nope, that's the Hollow Arena stuff. I'll just talk to this dude. The trader wants to make themselves understood. They click their beak slowly and nod their head encouragingly. Their eyes sparkle in the light. Request dialect help. Director Gaitag yelps with excitement. They present their data pad, displaying a list of language symbols. Trade symbols. Word for offer. Tech worker. Practice language skills. I inhale, thinking through some of the Gek words I'm confident of pronouncing. Friend. Mother. Stares, their eyes like saucers. They whisper the word back, reassessing their opinion of me. No. I embarrassed myself. Oh, it increased though. My stating increased, so that's alright. Where is... Okay, this person maybe? Maybe this one not. They look wild. Captain. The warrior's lips curl over their teeth as they deliver a series of elegantly formed barking noises. Though far from friendly, they at least appear calm. Offer a gift. Accepts my gift with gratitude. Yeah. Got a blueprint. Oops. Now... Is this... No, it's a different person. Request dialect help. Fails Gek, who tilts their head from side to side as they consider me. They consult a note on their data pad, then present a list of language symbols. Technology. Teaches me word of their language for upgrades. Sales guy presses their fingertips together eagerly. I heard you think of an appropriate word to say. Friend? Blinks, weighing up the implication of this word. They stare curiously, wondering where I might have learnt it. Not mad? Did my standing go up? Or nothing. Okay. And then... Did they still have what they were trying to give me before? Nope. Mimes excitedly performing a series of actions that seem to represent words I might learn. Travel or mystery? Mystery. For I. Okay. Smell me, friend. What the fuck? Need first. Find. Find? Smiles, happy to be consulted for directions. After rummaging in their pack for a moment, they hand me a fistful of navigational data. Cool. Nice. Oh. Okay. Did you talk to this dude? Normally I would pull up voice chat. You haven't yet? You should. That's your next step, is to come here and talk to this person. But normally I would put voice chat up and have Tack join that, and we would be talking, so it wouldn't be kind of odd. But I don't think my PC is functioning correctly. My camera having issues and shit, and then before stream it was kind of weird, and it's flickered a couple times, and this has been chugging. I'm like, I don't really want to try to run another app right now. I think it would cook it. But also it might not. Whoa. It's only been an hour and a half too, but I'm gonna stretch because I ate the stuff and ugh. Ah. Maybe that'll reinvigorate me. My old ass just needed that. Needed to stretch. And then Tack, if you're not wanting to come here and do that right now, that's fine. I will dip from this space station thingy though. Actually, let me check the vendors. Maybe they're different because they're in a different, like, star system thingy or whatever. Whoa, I like how this one looks. I want my character to look like that. I like that their goggles have, like, flaps. Installable exosuit upgrades. Friend recruiters. What you got? Radiation protection. There's definitely more stuff here, but life support power. Do I have room in my inventory? No. What the heck? Oh, I need to dismantle that. Oh. Makes sense. Exocraft laser module. Oh. Dang. What do I even... I guess I could sell some stuff, maybe. Oh yeah, there's a thing on the underside. I like that this whole, like, space station's all purple and stuff too. Purple and blue. Cute. It's very, like, blueberry. Oh. To be sold.
Units received. Units received.
Now I've got room. Weapon. Ooh, that looks cute. Don't care, but looks cute. Underwater protection. Cool. What's my life thingy right now? My volume tank. Maybe I'll wait on that. That way I've got the points, because I don't know what the next locations I'm going to are going to look like. I might want the solar protection, or radiation, or whatever. The small alien creature waves me over, sniffing curiously. They gesture eagerly towards their wares. Friend, please spend upgrades. Gek Trade Federation, something. The life form appears to be selling installable starship upgrades in exchange for nanite clusters. Don't care. I don't really care about my ship too much yet. Just because I need my little dude to even be capable of more. Just tag. Donate. An ancient key.
Product received.
Okay, I need to be master status to be able to get that. Oh my god. I'm gonna put a different song. Or another one. What the heck was that noise? Planetary settlement. Did you just mark that tack? Where's my thing? Return to my base. Oh. I do this. Warp to main base. Oh my god, at least tomorrow's Workshop Wednesday, during that, it'll be a lot easier for me to, like, dream longer. Because without my stimulant med too, if I'm already, like, overstimulated by there being a change in my body without the stimulant med, and then not being able to focus on what I want to focus on or really enjoy myself, like, you just kind of feel like nothing feels enjoyable, nothing sounds interesting, nothing feels like normally. I think having my ADHD balanced out really helps with my depression, not being like, ooh, and then not being as overstimulated. So I think without my med, I notice all of that shit being different, and like being perceived feels more like blah alongside it. But at least with Workshop Wednesday, even if my med's not ready, it's top down. I have my new tripod. I could go get that and show it, but actually I think I have it set up already. I also got a 50-foot HDMI cable, so it can go from this room to the one that's on the other side of that wall, which is the library room of mine, where I do those streams now. So I'm thinking too that like I can stream it in better quality now, because I can just have my camera hooked up to that. I won't have to have my laptop there. I won't for sure like have to end stream early like I have in the past when my laptop is overheated, or struggled and kind of ended stream. There'll be less disconnects, better internet quality too, because I'll be like hooked up through Ethernet like normal streams. So I'm excited for that. But I hate to say it, but I think I'm kind of about cooked. I'll have my stuff, leave that there. And then, yeah. Sorry, team. I'm just tired. Let me see if there's anyone on with around the same viewership that I could rate too. Let me see, let me see, let me see. No one with as low as me, and I don't. Yeah, people are kind of iffy on whether or not raids are considered like insulting if you have less people. So I probably won't do that. But yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow. Um, I do Workshop Wednesday. I think it's usually around like 3. You can bring a project or something, we'll chat. Usually I top down. I have a Gundam that I'd started that I need to work on. I've got some more wooden flowers I could craft. So we'll kind of just see if I get my med, because that'll influence what I do. But yeah, it's just kind of good time to body double and everything. But I will be live again then. Sorry for the really short stream today and for like an iffy one yesterday, which normally I'm off yesterday anyway, or the day before, whichever. I played Whiskerwood. Love that game. Don't know if it fucks with stream, but alright. Good night. Thanks for hanging out.